Hey you guys, I've always wanted to make a video of how I make these slippers, because I knew that, because the pattern wasn't written down, that at some time I would probably forget how I do it and have to start all over. So when my sister Linda called and said she'd like to know what the pattern was, I thought, well, I'll just make a YouTube video, I'll put it on YouTube, and then I'll always have it for my own reference. And then, of course, if anybody else wants it, they can use it too. These slippers are pretty simple, and they only take a couple hours to make. I have given them to preschools. I have given them to nursing homes. I like my slippers. I've got a couple of other sisters that really like them as well. And so you just have to make one and see if you like them on your feet. But to get started, I want to show you a couple of things. We're going to be using a K needle, or I don't even know what the millimeter is on it, but it's kind of a goldy looking. I'm using this one because it is big enough, I think will show on the video up close. My yarn, when I start doing my yarn, I put my yarn on a stick like this. And some people have done it with a knitting needle. And then at one time I had heard about doing put it in a shoebox, poking holes in the end of the shoebox. But I found this little basket, and it has 2 holes in the end. And so that's how I use my yarn. And so I never have to unroll my yarn. It works just great in this. And that's what I'll be using for today. Okay, the yarn I'm also going to be using is just a red heart yarn. I find that you can get this in yard sales. I don't know. It just seems like everybody has some of this yarn. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to start with a magic circle. Now, this magic circle, I found it on a YouTube video and absolutely loved it because I like the way it ends in the slipper, making the end of the slipper. Because I like that real tight little circle at the very end in the toe area. So how to make that magic circle is you're going to take your yarn, and this is your tie-in, or this is your tail, okay? And you're going to wrap it around your fingers, and then you're going to insert your hook underneath this first string, and you're going to bring it through, grab a hold of it, and that is what will connect and start the very part of the magic ring, the very first closure of the magic ring. Now we're going to put 6 stitches in the magic ring. I always hold mine and hold that tail there so that I can hold on to it. And we do just 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to, here's our tail, we're going to put hold our work in between our thumb and our fingers, and we're simply going to pull the tail. And what it does is it closes the ring. Now this tail, we're going to simply drop behind our circle. Now, to close our circle, like most crochet, we're going to slip stitch it to close. So we're going to put it in that very first stitch. And sometimes that's a little hard to get in there. And we're going to slip stitch it closed. And that's our first round. Now, for our second round, we're going to put 2 stitches in each of the 6 stitches that we put in our magic circle. And you got to know, I do not hold my crochet hook like you're supposed to. I taught myself when I was a kid, and so I've just always done it that way. So to begin the second round, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put a stitch right back in between that first stitch right there. And we're using half double crochets, so you yarn over, push it through, grab one, pull it back through. You have 3 loops, and close. That's your first 2 stitches. Then we're going to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then there'll be, when you come back, there'll be 13. 13 and 14. And that completes round 2. And then we're going to slip stitch to close. And that's the end of round 2. We'll always chain 1 and insert a stitch in between that first area right there. On every round we will do that. And we're using a half double crochet throughout this whole slipper. Now this third round is the size telling ring. Now for a small child, I put 1 stitch in each of the stitches. For a child that is like a youth, I will put 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. So that is up to, say, like 5, size 5. For the ladies' sizes from like 6 to 9, I will put 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way around. For a larger size, then I put 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way around. And I'll put those in the description so you can see. The thing you have to remember is on these slippers, let me back off so you can see. On these slippers, what we're doing is we're gradually increasing the size. So we're always going to put this extra stitch in here, and that's what is your increasing stitch. So the size, depending on the length of your foot, is about the half of the size of the foot. Say you have a 10-inch foot. The front portion is usually about half that size. So, and then the second half is the same amount of row of stitches plus 2. Okay, so for a size, now this is a size 9, I have put in 12 rows. And I have put in 13 rows at the back. And you just gauge from the size of your slippers or the size of your foot. The one thing you have to remember is, and this is a size 11-12 for a man, the distance between here and here increases as you increase your front half of the slipper. So to keep from getting so much bulk back in the heel and arch area, you may want to make 12, 13 rows here, and then drop your increasing stitch for the remainder so that you do not have all this bulk going up the ankle. So today, this slipper here that I was working on, it has the 2, 1, 2, 1 third row. So I'm going to put in 2, there's the first 2, and then I'm going to put in 1. Let me. One, and 2, and I'm going to do this all the way around. So 2, 1, that's 2, 1, 2, so it's 2 stitches and then 1 stitch. Oop, missed one. 2 and then 1, 2, and then 1, and so you get the picture, and you do that all the way around, and you'll end with a 1 stitch. 2, see, 2, 1, 2. And you'll end with a 1 slip stitch to close. And that is your third ring. After this third ring is your sizing ring, and so, or sizing round. After that is you're just going to begin to do all your increasing. So you chain 1, add your increasing stitch, and from here on out, you do just 1 in every stitch until you get the amount of rows that you want for the size of your slipper. In this case, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for this size, which I believe this is a child's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've done 9 for this child's size 7 and 8. And then 11 from here to here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up to get to this part on this slipper, and then we'll be back. Okay, I have now stitched in 12 rows, which is the front half of this number 9 slipper. Now what we're going to do is we're basically finishing up here. And so I'm going to zoom in so you can see how we're going to just turn around and do the back half of the slipper. Okay, we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn the slipper over, and we're going to go in that first stitch, and it's always a little difficult to get in because it's tight. But then we're going to start going back around the slipper. The same half double crochet. And so now we've started the back half. And so I'm going to continue to go all the way around, and then when I come back to the beginning, I'm going to come back to this stitch here, and then I'm going to put one in this stitch, chain 1, and then go back around the other side. Okay, we have come back around to the front, and now I'm going to put a stitch in here. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and start back around for the next row. And I'll continue on doing this until I get the length of the slipper that I need. Now that I've got the slipper as long as I want, I usually add, if this is 12, then I do 13 or 14 or more rows for the back half. The reason for that is, even though that your actual foot is only about the half and half, if you only do like this is 12 rows in the front, if you do 12 rows in the back, it doesn't allow for your foot to slip in. So I always allow 2 extra rows for the give so that your foot can slip in. Now, I also like to do just adding a different color for the cuff. And here's how I do that. I simply take my new color and I tie a simple knot. And I'm going to I've tied this simple knot. Now, there is the working end of this and this the staying end of it, or the stationary end. And I just pull that knot as far down into the stationary portion as I can. I take my needle, I grab the new thread, chain 1, and then pull the working end of the old thread, and I begin making my top cuff, and I half double crochet across the top. Sometimes it's kind of hard to gauge where you need to put your needle as you go across the top, but usually there is a hole for every stitch that you have ended. So let me get all the way across the top until we get to this center portion. Now, as we reach this center portion, that you're going to put 2 stitches in there and then continue on. That 2 stitches gives enough give to where your slipper will slip on easily. And then you just continue on around the slipper until you reach the back end. When you reach the end of the slipper, take one last stitch and then chain 1 and turn your slipper over and go all the way back around. Here in the center, you do not put the 2 stitches on the return round. After returning for your second row, we're going to finish the row. We're going to chain 1 and then continue on however many rows you would like for your cuff. Always putting 2 stitches in the center area on every other row. I usually like to put 6 rows on as a cuff for my slippers. And then to finish them off, I take a lacing needle and I'm going to go back through the loop, tie it tight, go to the other side, and then I just slip stitch them together. I leave enough tail of the white so that I have plenty of thread to lace them. And also you can feel where the ends begin so you can keep them in line with one another. When I come to the end, I go back in on this last one. I take the beginning tail and I simply tie a knot. Later, I will weave these ends into the work. Then I continue on with the other color of the thread, and I sew the back half of the slipper together. I do this I get about an inch from the end of the slipper. Then I take the slipper and I push that together. And I sew it closed. And it's very simple just to put a stitch through here to here to here. And I do that twice. And I always end on the left side of the slipper. What that does is remove the bulk area of the heel. After that, I then weave my ends all the way through until I reach this area. Then I take this and weave it through here, and then I tie a knot, which is out of the toe area, and it's at the top of the foot where it's not going to bother your toes any. And I just weave it in all the way. Now, I don't do this tightly because it will pull the side of the slipper too tight. I just weave it in loosely, just enough to hold it in place until I can get up here to this area. Then I take the toe end, which was the tail of that magic ring, and then I weave it in, and then I tie them together. Now, I don't pull it real tight, but I do a square knot to where it will not come out. And then I cut the ends off. I continue to weave this white ends. I'll weave them in on both sides. And this hides these ends and cutting them off. Now, a lot of this I've done on my own, so it's not like a real crochet person. But I like these slippers. I like the way they feel on my feet, and I like the way that I've ended up adapting them to be able to do the sizing. And then, of course, you're going to turn it right side out. And you have a finished slipper. Now, I'll take a ribbon and run it through to where I add a little bow on the front. And so you're more than welcome to do that or not, depending on what you'd like to do. But that is the way that I have made slippers for a number of people. I bet well, just many, many skeins of yarn I have made with these slippers. So thank you for watching.